That's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. Well, about 2 months ago, I was suffering from the dreaded man flu. Doom scrolling on Pinterest, I then came across this. Then I uttered these words.
I can build a better pallet go-kart than that.
And before you knew it, in my fever, I'd bought a bunch of go-kart parts I couldn't afford. Right, that brings us to this point where I've spent way too much money. But there's no going back. Let's go find ourselves a pallet. What I miss now? The twat bought a bunch of stuff he couldn't afford for a stupid project. Nothing changes, mate. Well, I can think of one thing. There's an industrial estate somewhere around here, and hopefully they left some pallets around. I feel like such a creep. Like slowly rolling around. There was people there just looking at me, just New lead on Facebook Marketplace. There's a place that says they got a couple of pallets. Hopefully I don't look like a weirdo. Ew, bird shit. All right, we've got our pallets. We've got a couple of different types, including one covered in bird shit. So what's the plan? Well, the idea is to turn these pallets into like a Indy car, Formula One car type of go-kart, but making sure you still know it was made with a pallet. With the basic chassis now complete, it's time to look at the front and rear axles. Now the rear axle has 2 bearing carriers that hold it in position, and I couldn't just bolt this straight to the pallet as the wood is too soft. And neither could I bolt the steering spindles to the pallet for the same reason. I was going to have to fabricate a solution. Sake. As I continually screwed up these brackets, I begin to doubt if I could even make a pallet go-kart better than that guy on Pinterest. But I persevered. That's better. Alright, 4th time lucky. Now, I don't understand why I was getting this part wrong all the time, but because you're a f***ing hack! Shut up, Hank! Anyway, I was gonna just bolt these brackets to the side here, but I really don't trust the wood that it doesn't split. So I think what I'm gonna do instead is get a bit of square tube and weld one of these on each side, and then at least the front end of the car should be semi-symmetrical and strong, I think. You think? You f***ing hack! Oh, Hank. Our spindle brackets are welded on crudely onto ends here, and they're gonna work awesome. But I can't actually go any further with this because I ordered the wrong parts. The hub does not fit the wheel. It's too big. So I'm waiting for the new parts to come in the mail, which means we have to turn our attention to something else, such as the engine mount. All right, our engine here has a lot more torque than your standard lawnmower engine.
And I was all like, "Vroom, vroom, vroom, vroom," and he was all like, shut the f up.
So we need to mount it properly, because to be honest, I don't want to die.
What? The plastic snapped.
How am I going to fix this? Oh, I can fix it. No. With some washers used under the engine mounts to tension the chain, it was time now to look at the brake. By cutting out a notch into this angle iron, I was able to mount the caliper straight onto it. Then after positioning it correctly, I just welded it onto the engine mount. Well, this project's starting to look a little dodgy, to be quite honest. I'm questioning a lot of my decisions on this project. You know, is the engine mount strong enough? Is the brake in the right position? I mean, have you seen my welding? It's pretty shocking. I don't know what I'm doing wrong there. But anyway, what do I care? It's a pallet go-kart. So, what's next? Well, our hubs have arrived finally, so we can mount the steering. To mount the steering rack, I welded on this bracket and bolted it into place, then cut a hole for the steering column. Then it was just a simple task of bolting on the tie rods and the wheels. Happy with that, I moved straight onto the brake pedal. But before we went any further, I thought, why don't I mount the steering wheel and see how it feels to sit in this thing? I think that's good pedal distance, isn't it? How did I f this up? I'd put the steering in backwards. No. You're a f***ing hack. Hank was right. I was a hack. But I'd never made a go-kart before, so of course I was going to make mistakes. Yeah, I was pissed. But that was what this was all about. Learning through failure. All right, I fixed the steering off camera, but when I was fixing the steering, I noticed that the chain had loosened itself, which meant that these beams underneath weren't strong enough, so I've changed them out with some steel square tube, and I think that's stiffened it right up. But man, I keep on making mistakes on this thing. So I think I haven't got the exhaust yet, so I can't do the electronics and the fuel until I work out where that's going to sit. So what I'm going to do instead is continue working on the foot pedals and the cockpit. Now, I'd already worked out how to do the brake pedal prior to the steering debacle. Now it was time to look at the throttle. So using a similar technique to the brake pedal, that was done in a jiff. Right, the seat. It had to be a little bit comfortable. Like a real racing car, like a bucket seat. So after cutting some slats off this pallet and fixing them to this contoured shape, I had myself a bucket seat. But I think it's safe to say you should wear some pants when sitting in this one. After securing the steering column a little better, it was time to look at the gear shifter. By threading the end of the shift lever, I could then fasten a link rod, which then would be attached to a hand shifter.
What? This is so sick. This is like a real sequential gear shifter in a race car. Oh, I can't wait for the engine to be revving and it's so sick. That is one thing though we haven't tested yet, is the engine. It's come all the way from China and I still don't know if it actually runs yet. So maybe it's wise to do that. I think you should wire it up and give it some fuel and hopefully it will work. And if it doesn't, I'll probably cry.
Now, I'd never wired one of these engines up before, but it seems straightforward. I mean, just connected this wire up to this whatchamajig, then plugged this thing onto that doobie, and then I plugged this whatchamajig also into that other thingamybobby, and yeah, I had one wire loose, but surely I didn't need that one. And just fuel this bad boy up, and let's give it a go.
All right, with this on now, if I push this button, it might start. Well, hopefully it will turn over. So I haven't primed any fuel. Let's just see what happens. See if it actually turns, and sounds like it's gonna go. Here we go. What? It nearly started. Again. Ooh, it needs a bit more gas. Let's get a bit more gas. Ready? Ooh, nearly. Sounds like it's a little flooded at the moment. Let's give it a little air there. Let's give it into first gear, hey? I can't believe it worked! This is gonna be sick! Woo! Yeah, baby! Alright, that was sick. Fire coming out of the exhaust port and everything. We know the gears work. We know the engine works. Whew. But we can't leave it like this, can we? Can't have the fuel just flopping around like this. Can't have all the wires just dangling around. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to tidy all this up, and then I think there's some finishing touches I need to do, such as a stupid rear wing and a front splitter for sure. Let's go. Let's get this finished. I can't wait to drive it. It's going to be sick. Just stay there. Oh, that was so close. Yo, Cliff, stop mucking around with Blaze's screws. Blaze? Yeah, Blaze, our patron. First, Blaze. That has to be a made-up name. Second, patron? Well, I think that's his name. And patreon.com, a place where you can support artists and creators. Blaze believes in us so much, he's willing to give us $3 a month to pay for screws. $3 a month? What a f***ing tight ass! Shut up, Hank. $3 a month may not sound a lot to you, but when I'm building these crazy expensive projects, every little bit counts. So let me get this straight. I financially support you with the equivalent of half a box of screws a month, and I get what? Well, besides the knowledge that you'll be helping me build these crazy projects, you'll also get to join the GA Nation, where you get exclusive behind the scenes content, you get early release videos, and you can get a whole heap of other benefits depending on which tier you sign up to. So where do I sign up for this GA Nation again? Just click the link in the description or visit patreon.com and search Garage Avenger and you'll find me there. Hey, here's an idea. How about you get on with the damn project? You might actually get some patrons.
Hank was right. I didn't need to finish this project, but I was still waiting on the damn exhaust. But surely I could just give it a bit of a test run without an exhaust. Then like magic, the exhaust just showed up. And after a quick flute solo, I could bolt this thing on and make some small tweaks. We're ready to take this out and give it a real test run.
Yeah?
Love the crackle you got right.
That is so good.
Although my ego started this project to one-up some guy on Pinterest, it had become much more than that. I realized as I saw the smiles on everyone's face that this ridiculous project had become a catalyst for igniting one's inner child. With so much to worry about these days, to be able to give my friends and family a few minutes of carefree joy was well worth all the time and money.
I was crazy.
So
What
good.
have you built? It goes faster than it has any right to do.
Yeah, agree.
And it understeers like a bitch.
Oh, it's not good at steering, right? What should I build next?